All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo, back for another episode of the PGA Show here on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station. Got my guy Hoopster here with me as always. Going to break down all things Travelers Championship. We have a no-cut signature event, 72 golfers. Corey Connors, who had the wrist injury last week and had the WD from the US Open. WD today, got Johnny Vegas into the pool. So 72 golfers. Going to break it all down, bring up Sabersim, talk through the roster construction and more. Hoopster, how was your U.S. Open week? JJ Spawn, U.S. Open champion.
Well, not as good as yours. You had a good week. I know you had multiple sweats going. I think you kind of hit the bare minimum of the end result, but a win's a win. Green is good, as they say. So you take the win, you move on. So it's always fun to have sweat going at the majors. I unfortunately didn't. It was one of those weeks, like I was overweight, everyone at the top, but just had no combinations. I did my 150 pool, just didn't have the right combinations. I was somehow overweight on Spawn. I didn't even necessarily like the guy, but overweight on him. I had a bunch of Sam Burns. I had a lot of the guys at the top, just not the right combinations. That's how it goes sometimes. I've had, 2 or 3 really solid weeks in a row. So, feeling pretty good about the process and everything, and just, not the right combination. But I like that sort of golf, man. Like I've always said this, like if you don't hit the fairway, there should be some sort of penalty. There should be something. Like these events where there's no trees, no water, short rough. Like if you don't have trees, you don't have water, you better have really long rough. There has to be some sort of penalty. And obviously the US Open a little more extreme in regards to the penalty, but there should be a penalty. Like you shouldn't be able to just randomly hit it 350 wherever you want, knowing that it doesn't matter where you're at because you're going to have a good lie. Like there should be some sort of penalty. I hope, maybe we see this more at other courses where they grow out the rough a little bit. I doubt it. These guys a lot of them are prima donnas, man. You can tell, like the Rory stuff, Rory continues to be a little bitch. Like his comments are, guys, really starting to tilt me, man. I feel I've earned the right to avoid the media at this point, or whatever his recent statement was. Like I just can't with that guy anymore. He's a little bitch, and we're sticking with that. US Open was fun to watch, man. It's fun to see these guys struggle because we're not used to them struggling unless there's like extreme wind or something like that. It's the only time these guys struggle, like extreme wind or weather. It's cool to see them struggle, and good shots are rewarded, bad shots are heavily penalized. I like seeing that sort of golf. We're back at it though this week, and signature events, I love them. I mean, I know people hate the no cut format, but it's only opportunity outside the majors to get the top guys in the world playing, and that's kind of what we got this week. So looking forward to talking through it today.
Yeah, you love the signature events. I forgot about that. I thought it was pretty funny today. Jay Monahan is going to be, coming off the commissioner at the PGA Tour, and they got their new guy from the NFL and all that. And his first comment is, I think they really struck gold here with these signature events and da-da-da-da. Yet there's been a bunch of players that have been against them, obviously for many different reasons. But yeah, we'll see. He's got to, take over the ship and see how it goes. But it can't be worse than Jay Monahan. So we'll see.
No, and you have to imagine that has something to do with like the live thing as well. This guy probably has a better chance to bring it all together. And that's my take on it, because we need it. I mean, we need Bryson out there. We need John Rahm out there on a weekly, but we need some of these guys to come back. Like, again, that's the reason I love the signature events, because the only opportunity we get, anything that's not a major or not a signature event, you're getting a shitty field. There's no way around it. There's a huge edge in these random PGA Tour events because I'm doing the deep dive and I'm finding these random scrubs that are going to break out. No, they're not. Like, people that are telling you that's bullshit. It's not true. Like, not true at all. Give me the signature events and all day.
Yeah, talking about upcoming U.S. Opens, a lot of these Opens like that, when you see them play that way, it's fun. We have the Open coming up next month, will be the final major of the year. So there's still a ton of golf left. We're going to break this one down. Signature event, big event, lots of good contests. I feel like the process is solid too. Last week was some close calls I had there, but I definitely feel like it's coming together. Maybe $200K this week in the $25. That's what I'm going for. But just to say this too, last week, the Scotty Price, like we talked about, atrocious, no problem to make it work. He was up there. You had Spawn, you had Burt. You could just build the nuts any way you wanted. And even though Scotty came, T8th or something, it was still ending up on the winning lineup.
It was a stupid week for roster construction. I mean, I think I had texted you. I don't know. I think we were probably on the phone. We chat a lot. I think we were on the phone. And I was like, I just did my first run at golf and literally didn't have to make any sacrifices to get exactly what I wanted in my team. Now, it didn't pan out, but you could just tell the first run that there wasn't, I mean, not to say there wasn't skill involved, but you could get whatever you wanted. Like I played 60% Scotty, I think 60, maybe 65% Scotty. I knew I wanted a ton of Scotty. I had to make zero sacrifices to get a bunch of Scotty. I was able to play the other top end guys in there as well. I could tell on the first build like that this week it would be kind of like a random type week. It was just easy to make teams, easy to make a fit. You want to do Scotty with big price tag, great, please do it, but do not include the 5K range. I'm anti 5K range. I think it's so stupid, and we talked about it on the shows a ton. Has nothing to do with the 5K range. You and I have hammered this from day one, and everyone else in the industry, I hear their comments about, the 5K's in, that's great, let's go. But no, the 5K is not good for anyone because it's, again, we've said it a million times, we're the first ones beating this drum. It's not about the 5K range. It's about the 6K range and the 7K range, where those guys are all typically $1,000 more expensive. It makes roster construction just way too easy when there's a 5K range. It doesn't matter what price you put on Scotty at that point. You could make them $15,000. Doesn't matter because all the 7K guys are now 6K. Yeah. All the 8K guys are now 7K. So I like the aggressive prices on some of these high-end guys, but you got to get rid of that 5K range.
Now, this week's smaller field, but it will be interesting to see because it is 13-3, Scotty. They did bring back more 9s and 8s overall. If you remember last week, there was 9 guys total in there. This week, there's 6 9Ks alone, and then 8 to 9 or something in the 8K range. So you've got a decent number overall. The 7K range is a bit smaller, and then the 6Ks, obviously, it's a smaller field, but you could still easily fit Scotty the way the pricing went this week just because of the field. So we'll look and see what Sabersim does. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we hop into it? Anything else you want to break down here with this event? No cuts, smaller fields, anything in general, marketing, any of that stuff you want to get into before we start?
Not too much. I mean, we're gonna have some pretty big announcements coming up relatively soon. I mean, we got a lot of things we're working on behind the scenes. So we're gonna have a lot of big announcements coming up pretty soon, I'd say. So I guess a little bit of a teaser.
I like the teaser on the week after. It's only the diehards watching live. Yeah. Some people will watch it back, whatever. But yeah, we're not. We always say that we don't take anything lightly. It's not like I don't know. We'll see how it gets perceived, but it's something that nobody else has ever done. Nobody else is doing, and we're working diligently on it. We're going to spend about a month still on this project before we ever even come close to announcing it. So there's going to be something big coming up here, for this year. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, NFL just around the corner, but a ton of golf left. One note, just while Hoop's pulling up Sabersim, if you want to grab it up there, Hoop, I'll leave this while you're getting it ready to share. PGA 75 is the code. If you are just sort of checking things out for the summer, trying to see how things go, and you're not a member yet, you can use PGA 75 on the $99 all-access core plan. Go to shipitnation.com, go to join the nation. You'll be able to see the $99 plan. Use this code, $24 for your first month. That gets you Discord. That gets you the education courses. That gets you all the content, not just for PGA, but for all of the sports to see what we're all about. We talk about this, put our money where our mouth is. $24 is less than the PGA only. And this includes the ability to use SaberScore and the Sabersim optimizer we're about to bring up there. So do you have Sabersim ready, Hoop?
Yeah, we're ready to roll here. Boom. Saber. Let's roll.
Sure way.
Got the dry run already available for us.
Yeah.
I just changed a couple.
I don't know, Peg Junk, but hey, there's not a single time we've said this that it wasn't a huge win for the community. So we don't just say it to say it. That's the difference. Every other site is, we got this big thing, or we're bringing this person on, or we're doing all these things. Anytime we bring on something, it's going to be good, and that's the key here.
All right, he's on our side.
He's good. Now he says it. I see it.
Yeah. Right, okay. It will be. Trust me. It's big, and let's say you said it was big. I'll say big and different.
SIG, big and different. Might be SIG.
Yeah.
Signature event, big, SIG. It could be solid. I'm excited for it, but it's going to be good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, just had to, this is Sabres projection, Sabres ownership. I'd change a little bit just to get the run going. So it just changed Saudi from 47.5.
Knew it said that's what it'll be big.
Yeah. Big and different. Big and different. Yeah, it is what she said for sure. So at the top, got Scotty. I haven't even looked at how much wait. Before we get started, though, I messed up.
It's Tambo time. You got to bring that
Tambo time. Got to bring this puppy over next to the price.
Yeah, we got to see.
There we go.
Started looking at ranges. Yeah, I like this. All right, right out of the gate, we're getting the 66%. You bumped it to 150. We went off. Do you want to change it to projected score?
Yeah, let's go to projected score.
Yeah, for those that don't know, it runs in 2 seconds, but we want to look at that just because a lot of these dry runs that people are using are taking sort of what the projections are giving them, and so this will give us a better idea. And then you see it when we switch that 100% Scotty, just like that.
And the main thing here is you see the big number, basically 112 fantasy points for Scotty, and then no one's within essentially 25 of him. What is that? That's I guess correction. Sorry, 15. So Scotty's 15 lower, then it just continues to dwindle. So it's going to be easy, obviously, to just play Scotty, despite a $1,800 difference between Scotty and Rory here. So he's 100%. So we'll change some things here, obviously, just to see what else we can get. I do want to see, is there any so we're getting 60% Davis Thompson. I mean, we're not probably playing 60% Davis Thompson, 50. So these are the sort of builds that projected score is going to like, and you can see them over here. It's Scotty with a bunch of essentially 7K guys, Scotty, a couple 6K guys. It's going to be just very aggressive, which you can obviously tell when we sort by salary. We're getting 0 Rory, 0 Xander, 0 Morikawa, 0 Cantlay, 0 Ludwig. The first name we're actually getting something decent on, Keegan Bradley at 85.
When we're in Connecticut, we're going to get Keegan. Anything on the northeastern side is always going to involve Keegan. But I will chime in for 2 seconds because I think this is an interesting point. A lot of people bring this up, and obviously our show isn't the picks and the plays and the tiers and the pockets. It's all just kind of going through and seeing this stuff. But so many people do a dry run and think, well, don't you guys say a dry run is literally just that and you stop? I personally have no problem, to Hoop's point here, of saying, okay, I've checked into it. I've seen where this lands. Not many people are going to run 100% Scotty and 60% Davis Thompson. So I mark that in the back of my mind that very clearly we're going to see Scotty and Davis Thompson lineups quite common. So you could choose to separate that yourself if you want to do whatever you want or limit it. But for me, Hoop, I would definitely be okay just capping my total ownership, even in a dry run, to 65%. It's still going to max me out Scotty, but it's probably more realistic to what the public does. And then on someone like Davis Thompson, when I see that spot check, maybe I go 25 or 30% because it's not too many people are going to play 60% on 150 lineups.
Yeah. And I capped Scotty here and just going to rerun it. So I plugged in that 65% number. I want to rerun it because a large majority of my pool included all Scotty. So we go through here and then let's see, it should bring down. That should naturally bring down. Yeah, so Davis Thompson's down. Oh, it's only 20 teams, so it'll be changed to 150. Yeah, down to like 44. I'd still cap it. I'm not going to play 44% Davis Thompson. So there's a lot of different ways you can go about doing this. I do want to check though and see Saber score. How does this change? This is just based on projections. Saber score is going to incorporate more game theory stuff. They're going to incorporate ownership a little bit more. Let's just see how this changes when we go to Saber score. We'll keep in the big thing just of it. Scotty down to see. Now you're starting to see. So Scotty down to 45%. Morikawa. Yeah, Davis Thompson down. So that's the big difference, obviously. And then again, we always talk about it, but then you get to contest sims, and it's going to take you to another level as well. So to me, there's they said there's levels to it. There's levels to Sabersim. Projected score is simply projected score. Any optimizer is going to build you teams based on projected score. Saber score starts to take into consideration some of the other things, and then you get to the contest sims, and you're at a whole nother level essentially. So you can see the big difference, though. I mean, Saber score starts to balance things out a little bit. You get 25% Morikawa,
Sort of by
posted.
price for a second now, just so this is why I do this, because now see how like Xander all of a sudden 16, Cow up to 25. You're still getting 10 lineups each of Cantlay and Oberg. You're getting Sepp Straka at 92. All these guys were essentially nothing before. Now you're getting the different variations. This is the way Saber does it's not who you play, it's how you play them.
Yeah.
Saber goes and finds this for you via Saber Score to get you some good lineups with leverage built in and starts pairing people accordingly so that you're not landing on the same thing everybody else is in the same way they are.
Can you explain this? Because you understand it a little more than I do. So if right now I got unique set at 1, like if I changed it to 2, what exactly does that do to my lineups?
Well, it's going to make sure you have at least 2 different in every lineup. Right now, you can have 1v1s. So if you right now, just for the sake of doing it, I don't think you need to when you're doing the dry run.
It's not going to change much.
Or just to see it. This will usually just change some of the exposures a little bit. You might get a little bit more spread along the bottom where there's different value plays now that are mixing and matching versus just putting in the projected one. But that's why you're seeing so do this, Hoop. Go back to projected score for a second. This is the best way to show it. We can use Davis Thompson as the premier example. Go to 1. Are we getting 64% right now?
Well, I had capped Scotty at 65, so we're still at 45% Davis Thompson.
So now change it to 2 uniques for a second and apply it just to see what that happens, just to see if anything changes.
He actually went up. So
it didn't really do much. That's what I was gonna say. It depends, but that's kind of the thing. I would have thought we'd see a little bit more spread. We didn't rebuild all the lineups, but just to note it, it's not gonna make a huge difference. The thing I'm looking more in that is, like I said, is if I'm doing a dry run, I try and make it realistic. For example, on a week with a weather wave edge, and people are all looking at that, sometimes the projections at certain sites don't adjust for that. Now, we're spending time on Wednesday evening going in and making the adjustments once we have the final weather at SHIPIT Nation. That's the power of having good, solid projections. But for other sites that have projections that don't account for that, Hoop and I have talked about this endless times on showdown slates, where Cantlay and X were the 2 highest priced golfers, and in round 2, they're playing in the afternoon and the edge is in the morning, but site not to be named decides, let me just run them since they're the highest price with the highest projection. Well, that's not going to adjust for it, and you're going to have those guys in your pool more than the adjustment we're making. So I will run dry runs off more of what I think the public is actually doing. So I would just say that, and in this case, it didn't make a huge change for this example, Hoop, but in general, there is some stuff coming from Sabersim that's going to be big on the min unique side of thing as well. They're working on something behind the scenes, so can't really know yet, but they do have something coming that we've been privy to and seen. So I think they're comfortable with us saying that much. Just like us, Sabersim always working on stuff behind the scenes. They've got something cool coming out that they're working on behind.
I mean, honestly, it's going to make it easier for everyone to understand the process behind it. So it should be coming out pretty soon.
Yeah, so I think that's a good one to bring up. And then Jason said, I hope people play 60% Thompson. So we'll see how it actually goes. But I definitely think people are playing Scotty and Davis Thompson. And do you remember a few weeks back now, Hoop, we just talked about this today in one of the Discords there about it was like Matty Schmid week. And I think it was like 70% of the lineups that had Matty Schmid, who was like a value that crushed, had Scotty, and Scotty did not crush. And it was like all those Matty Schmid lineups got wasted versus if you go back to what's our current ownership on Dave. Okay, do the plus sign on Davis Thompson now with where you're at. You're in Saber Score. You're down to 18%. How many of those lineups have Scotty out of curiosity?
40, which is pretty reasonable considering we're playing 65% Scotty. So it's not like a crazy number.
So the nice part about that is like this guy's down to what, 30? So he's still down a solid amount of lineups where you'd get Davis Thompson without Scotty versus clearly most of the field is playing him with Scotty.
Here's where I guess that will change quite a bit, and we'll see. I could be wrong, but I think if we go back to projected score, we're getting a lot of Davis Thompson. I'm guessing more Scotty will be in these teams. Let's see. Or did I make a fool out of myself? Yep, made a fool out of myself. It's the same.
40?
40 with the projected score. I thought it would be more, but I guess not. Okay, there's probably some logic behind it that I wasn't thinking about.
Well, they're going to put somebody else in along the bottom. Yeah. Like they're going to balance it out. You're not getting full on, just complete chalk, but it is a better gauge to look at it. But that's why I wanted to bring it up, because typically that's the case with Saber Score, and why I use the Matty Schmid example. That week in the lottery, even though Matty Schmid crushed it, there was so few teams that use Schmid with non-Scotty lineups that nobody had the best Schmid lineup was like 12th place. And it had Scotty. It's because that was kind of the point. Like, not many people played it without. So you got to look at stuff like this in your dry run and not just leave it to chance. You should be reviewing before and after, not just after the lineups. The week plays out and you go, oh, how'd I do? You should know when you're submitting the answers to the test for your test what they looked like going in, at least, and then see how it plays out from there. So I like this exercise for that reason. But definitely when you went to the new settings, you saw that we incorporated a lot more of the 9K range. You saw us on other 8K guys, not just Keegan Bradley, because I think there is value across the middle here. And there's enough plays down low that you're able to make like Scotty with 2 8K lineups, skip the 7s or majority of them and get down into the 6s and use some of these guys. And that's one thing about signature events is you're getting whoever you want to pick, Nick Taylor, Thomas Dietrich, Andrew Novak, Bez, who else? Davis Thompson, who we looked at, Kevin Yu, Lucas Glover, Matty Schmid, who I mentioned. There's options people will be very comfortable with, especially with the aspect of the no cut. You think that's the same? Like, I don't think anyone's going to be chalky, but I'm saying like there'll be some that get a boost because of that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I mean, it's let's pull up. I just want to sort by salary and just see like, and this is Sabersim's number. Like, who is there anyone down here that's getting more ownership than like the group? And
Thompson, you, Taylor, it looks like.
Yeah, so Thompson's showing 18, you 10.
Fitz.
Yeah, Fitz up at is 11, Grazerman 9, 8. So more times than not in these events, like it does get spread out more than people are thinking. I don't think this Davis Thompson number is going to be 18%. Could be wrong. Just want to, a lot of times you can tie it to how well the guy's playing and you pull it up. He's missed 3 out of the last 4 cuts. So for me, people are going to look at that and say, you know what, man, if this guy's going to be popular, I'm fine getting off. And that's how I'm thinking too. If Davis Thompson's the guy down here, like, no, thank you, I'll move on. And can kind of apply that a lot of times. And we had a disagreement, I think, a couple weeks ago on Cam Young. It doesn't matter how it turned out. There's different ways to do it. If you have faith in a guy, for sure, play him. Like, I liked him. You didn't. He ended up doing all right. I'm not, toot my own horn or anything, but he was the most. Yeah. But like, to me, like, if you're going to do it, you got to have reasoning behind it. If you're just going to stick with the crowd, like, to me, if the crowd is going Davis Thompson, I'm going everyone else around him. And I'd even take chances on a guy like Max Homer right there, who I haven't played basically at all this year. So, like, a lot of times you can apply the logic where, man, if someone cheap is going to be popular, just go somewhere else. It was Keith Mitchell, I think. It might have been at the major. I'm so bad at remembering the events, but he was very popular down here, and I think he missed the cut. And it was like 6,200 somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but he was the popular guy, missed the cut. So if you went away from him there, like, you probably did all right. So anyone down here that's going to be popular, just find someone else, unless you really like the guy. If it is Davis Thompson,
you know what you just said, unless you really like him, because that's funny. The logic you just said is the exact same logic I had the Cam Young week. I saw like 20 golfers around him, and I was like, 20% Cam Young, or I think he ended up coming in at 18%. I was like, I'll just take my chances. But to your point, he was playing really well. He projected well. He fit every build. Sometimes you just got to ride that. And I did an interview the other day with our guy Shaloub, and he had a great one. One of his rules, this guy came prepared with rules. I'll share one of them. It was good. He said, remember, ownership is leverage. And you've done this for years. You've literally said this for years now, and it's so key. Everyone sees ownership on a guy, and the immediate thing is just fade. And maybe with Davis Thompson, that's the play. I'm just using this as an example. And I don't think he's going to get overly out of hand, like you said, because of some of the other stuff. But just to use this example, I love this, the saying, ownership is leverage. Yeah. If someone's going to be 20% owned, Cam Young, you could take 40% of them. You love them. You don't care. And you're going to get leverage by going overweight. My leverage is, I think it's a bad play. And I'm going to say, I like the guys around him. I'm going to get overweight on all the guys. I'm going to get leverage on the guys around him and have negative percentages in my leverage column against Cam Young. And Sabersim gives you the math column. It does all that work for you with your leverage column. There's a column that says LEV. That's for leverage. It'll tell you your exposure versus the ownership. And you could start making some of those calls on how much leverage do you really want or feel that you need, or you can just let it run it for you. But I really like that saying that he brought up. And I think you just put a great example of it on this Davis Thompson situation. You could take 0, you could take 20, you could take 50, like you should be able to get leverage either way you want it. It's just, you don't have to run away.
Fully convinced he's going to be the guy that everyone goes to here. It could be somebody else. It might end up being Kevin Yu.
Sure.
I just don't believe it's going to be the 18. I think it's probably a 10 to 13-ish range, but whoever it is, you can apply this logic to anyone that ends up getting popular that's cheaper.
And I love, I mean, this our guy Ryan, he said no EVR, no yawn. It's not his favorite event if we don't got EVR in the mix, but he said everyone has their guy, and that's true, and Hoop always mentions that. I guess for me to rephrase now, because I've been saying it wrong for weeks to you, and you keep clarifying it, and you're right. But I want to clarify. I think this week is a week where the 6K roster construction is still is not more popular. Like, it doesn't have to mean it's more popular, saying that it's easier to get to. People will be very comfortable using 6K guys to get to Scotty because it's a no cut, because it's a signature event and there's real dudes down there. I don't think any of them get super chalky until you get to like the Thunderdome or the 3180 or something like that, where they do get inflated. But these roster constructions involving a 6K guy should be way more popular at this event. It's more likely.
Yes, agree with you. And that's why we're seeing the big number on Scotty, because you come down here in the 6K range and there's just so many. Even if you don't love the guy, like, you don't need to love a 6K guy. You got to just be able to logically make the case for this person to finish in the top 20, right? Maybe top 15. And there's a lot of guys down here where people are going to come down and say, you know what? Yeah, I feel pretty good with Ryan Gerard, who's been playing well. Andrew Novak has won. Bug Cauley's playing well. Dietrich's playing well. Grazerman's had success this year. Davis Thompson, Kevin Yu, Benny On, all the way down at 6,300. Eric Cole missed a couple cuts, but prior to that was playing well. People always love Lucas Glover, so you can go on and on. Highsmith has had success this year. Brian Campbell showed up in spots. So there's just a plethora of guys down here that people are going to say, yeah, you know what? I feel pretty good with them. I'm going to play them with Scotty. And that's why Scotty's numbers, it just has to be high. And then you look at the difference between how well he's playing versus Rory. Xander hasn't really gotten into the top 10 this year. Morikawa has been like a top 20 guy, and that's about it. These dudes in the upper nines haven't been great. So it's going to be a high owned Scotty week. There's no way around it. I don't know if it's like 47 that we're showing here, or if it's a little lower. If it's a little lower, like, I'm loving it, because this could, for me personally, it could be a week where I just hit it and move on, just lock them in and move on.
Yeah, one thing we don't spend a lot of time on the ranges, but that Xander spot is interesting, just because Xander and Morikawa, the ownership and it's projection based, but it's by like 2 or 3 points, but it's enough to lean people in optimizers and in general into Morikawa. But if you just go off the last 5 weeks, Morikawa is 23rd, 20, 50th, 17th, miscut. In this 54th, even, I'll take out the miscut because that's the team event. Go to the 5 events. Him and Xander played them both together. The last 6, actually. Xander finished 8th and beat his 14th. 18th and beat his 54th. 11th, beat his 17th. 28th, beat his 50th. 25 and 20 was about the same, and then just beat him again, 12th to 23rd. Last year, they both finished 13th here, and before that, Xander's got a better history, a 1st, 19th, 20th, 14th. So, interestingly enough, 2 points on a optimizer and in projections is separating it. But if you want to just flip those numbers yourself, you can do that. And to me, that's an option. If you're not going to go to Rory and you want to get it on Scotty, I get that. But if you want to flip something real quick up top for $600, the $600 exists everywhere throughout your lineup to get from a Morikawa to a Xander. And it's a change like that may be the difference maker. And we'll see as the week goes on. But I know projections right now most certainly like Morikawa more than Xander.
We're not big into talking picks and plays, but give me Xander over Morikawa all day. Morikawa should be like priced as a top 20 guy. Like, I don't know. Like, I just don't. I get it. People like him. People like playing him. Like, I just don't think he is the 4th best or the 4th most likely to win this golf event. Like, and he's priced that way. Like, I just don't see it with the dude anymore. And maybe he busts out of it, but he's like a Corey Connors to me. Like, you're playing him to get a top 20, and at $10,200, I don't want to play a guy to get a top 20. So I might fade him.
Yeah, sometimes they call Corey Connors WD'd, of course, but sometimes they call Corey Connors the Canadian Morikawa, like just ball striker, flusher, and that was at times when Colin was struggling with his putter. Their ball striking is both phenomenal when it's on, but when they get to a 7-footer, you're not sitting there being like, "Damn, my guy," you're not excited that my guy has a 7-footer for birdie. You think you are, and then you're like, "Damn, that's still 7 feet. That's kind of challenging for this guy."
I just struggle with this. Is like when is the last time you've needed Colin Morikawa in PGA DFS? And they listen. It's a high variant sport. This could be the week that you need him. I'm not saying it's not. It could be if you like him playing, but like I'm just looking and it's like. One time this year you've needed him at the Arnold Palmer? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't see it with the dude anymore, to be honest with you. So
it's been actually over 3 months since you even had to consider him.
Yeah. And he's going to be owned. He's definitely going to get ownership.
Where Scotty still beats all the guys around him, like a T8 from Scotty, and he's still good, or the way the price sets up, you still need Scotty and it's fine. You know, no need him because the optimal is 45K. But because the optimal is 45K, you've got Scotty still showing up on winners. Morikawa it's not often that he's been showing up. So it's certainly possible he doesn't again, and that's just of note. But I thought,
and I still might. I mean, with all that being said, I still might play some Morikawa. I'm not saying I'm gonna fade him. I'm considering it, but when I go and build teams, I want to see like do I need to sacrifice Scotty teams to get in Morikawa? And if that's the case, I probably won't play him. But if I can comfortably play him, I might. But I'm just not seeing it with him lately. I'm really not.
You just got to think about it when you're building. Like that's kind of thing. If he's your main building block, it's like, man, it's kind of tricky because you really need something else to go right for it to be the case. And guys like Xander, Rory, Scotty, Cantlay, Ober, all those guys to fail around him in a sense, depending on how that build looks. But in general, there is builds that it's going to show. Even that one you got up on the screen right now, it's got Morikawa, but you have Seb Straka, who's the guy it likes most in the 9K range. It's got JJ Spong coming off the US Open win. It's got Siwoo, Mav, Michael Kim. Like it doesn't seem horrible, but there's other guys that will be able to bolster up Colin Morikawa. And I think that's kind of the thought process. My take is that's why I don't like committing to it, because then people are like, oh, you said he was a piece of shit, and then you played it. I don't even want to commit to that. I'm just saying a single entry thought or a just general thought that I don't think enough people apply when they're looking at this stuff. They just let the optimizer do it and say, oh, well, I thought the projections were good. Like you can still make your own spin on it. Hoop can easily go there right now and change Xander to say 95.43 and drop Colin Morikawa to 92 point whatever and make that 2-point switch and give and take from exactly where he wants to give it and stay accurate. Like you can do that. That's the whole point. It's your money. You're investing it to play. You're trying to win. You have the ability to move things around. So make sure you're doing that if you're in there. So who else? Who are some of the guys? I guess we'll do some of the tier by tier stuff today, just because I don't think we have too much else to show there. There's obviously different lineup patterns you can see, but like we said, it's quite easy for people to get those 6K guys into their lineup, and it just means more Scotty. So it probably is better to continue this. You mentioned Rory. It sounds like you're out on him completely just because of But what do you think of him as an option?
Tough, man. It's like it hasn't been there, and golf's clearly a mental game, and something obviously has changed since he won the Masters. Like he's just not the same player. I mean, if you're a statistics person, there's a lot of stats you can point to that's like, man, after the Masters win, this has fallen off a cliff. This has fallen off a cliff. Mentally, some of the comments, like if you're a Rory person, I get it. Like, he obviously has the ability to turn it on and go out there and win this event, but a lot of things in my eyes would have to change for that to happen. So I prefer Xander up here and even Morikawa, who I just shit on. So for me, it's clearly like Scotty heavy and Xander. Don't really love Rory or Morikawa 9K range. Like I just really like the dudes I'll take the chances on the guys at the bottom of the 9K range over the guys at the top. Patrick Cantlay, I don't know, man. It's like kind of the same thing as I just mentioned with Morikawa. When is the last time you've needed Patrick Cantlay? And maybe it's been one time this year and he's 9,800. If you play him this week, you need him to be there, especially at a no-cut event. He's going to have to be somewhere in the mix probably come Sunday. And I just have zero confidence that he can be that guy. Ludwig, kind of same thing, all over the place with the results. Missed the cut last week. If you're playing him here, you have to have an idea or a thought that you think the guy can win. And I don't know if that's the case. I'll just take my chances with like JT, who's been a disaster, but he's cheaper. Sepp Straka has been phenomenal. I've kind of been riding the Sam Burns train, and I know he's in contention and kind of fell apart a little bit at the U.S. Open, but it's not like he just shot out of nowhere and played well last week. His game is trended, and he is one guy for sure. He is one guy for sure that, we follow this stuff on a weekly basis. Like, he gets hot and he gets cold. And when he's cold, you definitely don't want to play him. When he's hot, you do want to play him because he goes boom, boom, boom. And if you think this is the week he completely falls off because he kind of melted down a little bit at the U.S. Open, then don't play him. But I'm going to stay on him for sure this week. And then a guy I've played like none of at all this year is Victor Hovland. I'd just rather take my chances on these low 9K guys, specifically Straka, Burns, and Hovland over the guys at the top. I will play some JT, though. I mean, I feel like with the JT stuff, and I say this a lot with various guys, but if you've been on them, you've been playing with them, I think you just stick with it. The price is down. This is not a driver-heavy course. He sucks with his driver right now. Maybe he clubs down and finds some success this week. He's obviously sucking with a lot of different things, but I'd be fine taking my chances on him. So like the lower nines and the uppers.
Yeah, the thing about, I guess I'll go to Cantlay first because it's easier. Is like, yeah, it's been tricky. Even the week that he had his big week and finished fourth, Straka won and JT was second. Like, the guys right around him still beat him. And this week they're around him again. The his 12th place, his 13th place, JT won the week he came 13th, similar price point. The week he came 12th, Straka came third. So the guys that he's paired around have been the guys that got him anyway. And this week they're cheaper than him, but Cantlay has played well at this course. 5th, 4th, 13th, 13th, 11th. Like, he just crushes this course. But again, is that good enough for that price tag at 9,800? That's the question. You know what you're sacrificing to get to him. The JT thing, I'm always fine with. I like the boom bust of him. It's win second or like 56 or 36. Yeah, you'll know pretty quick probably, but at least I'm taking a shot on a guy that when he's in it has the upside to close it out, get up top, figure out his way to be involved. And at 9,300, I think that's possible. Straka has boom bust as well, but it's the Burns call for me. It's like what you said. Like, first of all, everybody was imploding at that point except JJ Spawn. And even like the Spawn shot at the end, he got the perfect read from the Hovland shot, but Spawn played great after he didn't. Spawn shot 40 on the front nine, out in 40, and goes on to win. It was anybody's game. At one point, I think there was 9 guys or 8 guys tied at 1 over. Like, everybody was there, and Burns did get screwed. Like, everybody, even the broadcast, everyone looked at it. He had 2 rulings. He had to hit it out of that. He let that get in his head. But Adam Scott said the whole thing was unplayable at the end. Look at those shots from Scott and Hatton. It wasn't just the guys left on the court. It wasn't just those guys. It was almost everybody left on the course. So Burns has been hot. Like you said, 7th, 2nd, 12th, 19th, 5th, 30th, 13th. All those are good results. Keep riding them if you want. Like that's what I'd be doing, because if you're playing them, why not? Just get back to it. I'd rather continue with him at 9,100 and take a shot that way. So the 9s are appealing. I think if you're going against Scotty, you got to load up with these 9s.
Yeah,
and hope
you have
that
to.
a different build gets you there, and that you end up getting a week like it actually was a week Scotty wasn't there, of course, but the week that Sepp won, Sepp came first, JT came second, Cantlay came fourth, and everybody up top sucked. Rory came 7th, but it was no Scotty, but there was still Rory, Xander, Kawa, Ludwig. All those guys failed, and you needed that sort of mid-range build. That would be the way that you could get after it here and load up on some of these guys in the 9s or even the upper 8s. I think that's kind of how I would look at it.
Yeah.
But,
and then, people always ask this question. It was somewhere in there. I can't find it, but about balanced builds, and I typically shit on them, and I have shit on them recently, but I do think it's somewhat viable this week if you're not going Scotty. There it is. Like, if you're not going Scotty, I think it's viable because, I'm not loving Rory. Morikawa, I don't love. And then Xander, I do like a little bit, but he's got to turn it on. Like, he's had decent results, but nothing phenomenal. So I'd be fine starting JT, Burns, 93, 91, and you can hit the 8K range for a bunch. I'd be fine with it this week. I typically don't like it, but this week I'm good with it. If you go JT Burns, that's just a random example, still at 7,900 for 4 spots. So you can load up if you like, we'll get to this range in a minute, but if you like Ben Griffin, play one dude, play Daniel Berger, then you're back in the 8Ks again. So you can really load up, and I do think it is more viable this week than it's been in a while.
Yeah, I will say this, another thing about it too, Hoop, is the size of the field and the guys down low. Well, I was talking about the Yahtzee Scheffler week, so you can just click them and plug them in. There's only so many guys down. Like I said, people feel very comfortable with it, but the other way it works is when Scotty doesn't win, he just has a good week, but all the guys down low sort of bust up. And when you need, when let's say 3 or 4 of the guys from the 7s and 8s are needed or would fit something that is needed, well, then those mediocre or top 8, top 7, top 5 results with a winner from the 9, those can still work without Scotty and still get there because you're not working with a full field, a cut, all these other factors that can still make those Scotty lineups turn good in the end. You can lose that pretty quickly if some of those guys down low do bad and somebody beats Scotty plus the other guys up the middle are what's needed. I know it sounds like a lot of things, but it's really not in a 72-man field. It's really not, especially if these 8s and 7s come through. And there is 3, 6, there's 9 guys just in the 8Ks alone this week, and another 20 to 25 in the 7K. So we're talking about a pool of 35 to 40 golfers between the 7s and the 9s this week out of 72. That's a large portion of the field that's not Scotty, and some of them fit with Scotty, so I get that. But just in general, to echo what you were saying in the question asked, I definitely think some of those lineups can get there this week, more so than some of the other weeks, which is surprising to some, but it's just the way the pricing and the event shake out. So you got to know what you're playing.
Yep. 8K range, it's kind of similar to the 9s for me, where I just prefer the lower range. I'm not saying I'm fading Fleetwood or Henley. If I can get him in, I'll get him in. JJ Spawn at 8,600, I think is funny. I'm not someone that says, oh, he won a major last week, you have to fade him this week. But at 8,600 in a signature event, I think it's easy for me to pass on him. I don't care what the ownership is. None of that matters to me. It's the price. 8,600 for JJ Spawn. I don't give a shit what he did last week. Win, lose, miscut. I don't think I could get there ever. So that will probably be a fade for me for sure. But Keegan, McIntyre, Lowry, Jordan Spieth at 8,200. I am not a Spieth guy. I think he has a chance this week to win the event. I love Spieth at 82. Ben Griffin has been maybe one of the best golfers on the PGA Tour recently. 8,100. One of those situations. Again, I'm saying it again, and I think it's always applicable. But if you've been playing Ben Griffin, why the hell would you get off the train at this point? Continue to ride it. He's the average, 8,100. So the average cost of a salary spot this week, average, middle of the pack, right there. I'm in Matsuyama. Is the dude just falling off a cliff? It has not been there at all. So, Lowry, Spieth, Griffin, I love those guys here.
Yeah, outside of the plays, I think it's more of the roster construction for me. The cases you made for even 2 or 3 guys there, that's what I'm trying to say. There's going to be Scotty lineups with Scotty, Spieth, Griffin. You could play that, for example, no problem whatsoever. And if Spieth and Griffin might be the guys that get it done, and Scotty does his T4 thing or his T5 thing, could still be pretty good based on what the other stuff is and what you got in your lineup. So I think this range is going to get spread out because everyone will make a case for their own guy. But I think there's lots of options here that you could plug in with some different constructions. What if it is Xander up top or JT or Burns, like we mentioned, but then you need some of these 8K guys. So this 8K range definitely has options. And the more you can stay in here, not to say it's right, just to note, the more you can avoid some of the landmines that we'll probably find in this larger 7K range where it's guys like Siwoo, Cam Young, Harris English, who else? Mav, Ra, all these favorites that people always love. Rye, Mav, Berger, Akshay, Jason Day, you name it. People always find a way to play these guys. Harmon and his course history, all these different things will be a thing. So I definitely think staying in this sort of upper 7s, outside of maybe Cam Young, who's probably going to pick up. See, again, you can continue to play him too. I'm just saying he'd be the one that probably doesn't get much. He's the one that gets the ownership versus the guys around him probably won't. But that 8K range mixed with this upper 7K range, including the cover boy for today, Sung Jae Im, baby. $7,900 for Sung Jae. He was good till he wasn't last week. Everyone was texting me, hope you stayed on your boy. He's about to win this thing. I'm like, buddy, it's round one of the U.S. Open. He shot plus 16 after that or something. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was rough after that. But I will be playing him this week. I think it's actually a good setup for him. So I'm in on him. Cam Young, like, I'm going to say it again. I know I've said it a lot. Don't mean to be super repetitive, but I just, again, think it's applicable in a lot of cases. If you've been playing Cam Young, keep playing Cam Young. It appears that he's found something at some point. And another solid performance last week, 4th at the U.S. Open, composed, playing solid golf. I mean, he's made 6 cuts in a row, 3 top 10s, made the cut at the PGA Championship. And these are difficult events. The Memorial made the cut, or that might have been a no-cut event, but finished 25th there. He's playing really good golf. And he was, up until like a year ago, one of the more promising up-and-comers. So I'm staying on him for sure. Adam Scott's a name, I think. He was right there last week. I think this course actually sets up well for him. McNeely, Berger, Batia. I really like JT Poston here at 7,300. And I will admit, I'm a JT Poston guy. So it's a little bit of a bias. There's no doubt about it. But I think this is a really good setup for him. Like you said, the Brian Harman course history, if you're a believer in that stuff, 7,200. I mean, you're not really sacrificing much to play Brian Harman at 72. You can easily throw him in your player pool if you're playing a bunch. One other interesting name, and the setup here, it probably isn't good for his game, but Ryan Fox has been playing really, really well at 7K flat. And we've seen him play good on tracks that don't necessarily set up well for him. But, man, he's been phenomenal his last 5 events. 19th win, 20th at the Memorial, 28th at the PGA Championship, won that bullshit Myrtle Beach event. So I'm good with him. Jason Day at 7K, I'll definitely play J Day at 7K. I'm in.
7K.
Yeah, in on that for sure. So there's a lot of guys here, a lot of pivots. I mean, is anyone looking popular? Let's see. Aaron Rye, Berger might be getting some.
The Rye thing though is just price, and it's basically
everyone just loves his ass every week.
It's got to be just OWGR, his ranking. That's what it is. His ranking versus his price. You look at it, because if not, he's never played well here. 33rd, miscut, 19th, 23rd, 18th in a team event, 38th, 27th, miscut. This is Cam Young, though, from a couple weeks ago, but Cam Young actually at least had something showing coming in, but it's just a price and a ranking of player that they're saying this is the guy. So he's going to be super popular, I think, in high stakes at 7,500. Him and Berger both could be, I don't know how it gets split, but those two should get a little boost just based off of that. I think there's guys like, the guys at the top that we talked about, my guy Sung Jae, JT Poston, who you mentioned. I think taking a shot on guys like Min Woo. Who's the other guy that I was going to say? Oh, Luke Clanton, another guy right there with JT Poston just below the other popular guys. He's always the guy that I like too. So there's some interesting names in the 7s, but that's how you get different. You can play Scotty with a bunch of these guys at low ownership as opposed to Scotty with all the popular guys and things like that. But I definitely think that, and there's some interesting pairings this week. I want to comment on this because somebody brought it up earlier. So going back, JJ Spawn is playing with Scheffler for the first 2 rounds. Who cares? That one's whatever. It's this guy just beat Scheffler. He's on top of the moon right now. He doesn't give a shit. But there is some other ones. There is Rory McIlroy is playing with Keegan Bradley. The Ryder Cup pair off of Keegan's obviously the coach now and wants to be on the team, but he's going to have a lot to prove. So if you think Rory doesn't give a shit, then maybe bet on Keegan versus Rory in round 1, because Keegan in Connecticut.
Okay, I like when you give sports betting tips.
They're usually wrong, but it's just my thought.
It gets me excited.
Paid them if they want. I just think that's another interesting one I saw. Who else is there this week? It's I forget all of them, but the other one that's interesting is the Battle of the BCs, and we're going to the 6K range now anyway. But someone earlier mentioned, is it Bud Cauley week? Bud Cauley has to defend the BC initials versus Brian Campbell in rounds 1 and 2. So Bud Cauley versus Brian Campbell is a big battle hoop to start this thing off. What do you like here in the 6K range? Because I see Gerard, Novak, Nick Taylor, your Canadian boy, Davis Thompson, Kevin Yu, who we talked about. These guys popping off the page a little bit early in projections. What's your thoughts on this range?
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret I'm probably playing a shit ton of Scotty this week. So, like, I have to play a lot of guys down here. And luckily for me, there's a lot of guys I like down here. And I'm fine. I mean, I'm fine with a lot of them. I'm not going to say, like, this guy's my favorite. I'll be honest. I'm just going to be spreading out a lot of these guys down here. That's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to probably be overweight on a majority of it. It's just how it works with roster construction. If I'm playing a lot of Scotty, I have to play a lot of guys down here, and I have to be overweight on a lot of guys. And I'm just going to play what I need to play. And I'm good. I'm going to rattle off the guys that I look at and say I'm good playing, and it's going to be a majority of them. Fitz, Grazerman, Nick Taylor, Hoagie, Dietrich, Wyndham Clark is one that, man, that could be a tough click at this point. Is he the one that messed up that locker room too? Is that legit?
Yeah, he messed up. It showed he messed up the locker beside him on the left, beside him on the right, but not his own.
What is he so mad about? Like, I mean, it's not like he's been playing good golf and came in here and shit the bed. He's been playing terrible golf.
Yeah, just mad that it's never coming back around again. It's been horrible. You know, it was a miscut after just horrible results recently. He had a 9th here last year, Hoop. I don't know if that's on your mind, but he's been really bad for the short term.
Yeah. Cauley, Novak, Gerard, Kim, Sam Stevens, I like quite a bit. I've been playing Sam Stevens. The results have been solid for Stevens. Yeah, I mean, he's been really good. It looks like 7 straight made cuts, a lot of top 30 results. Like, you take that all day at 6,600. Norin, we already talked about the Davis Thompson thing. If it's him that's getting the ownership down here, there's a lot of different ways to go. I probably would still play him, but not going to, try to get overweight by any means. Gary Woodland, Eric Cole, Lucas Glover is the one guy. People always love playing Lucas Glover, and unless something changed recently, he has been bad. Let's see. Hasn't been good.
Is down here. There's no one that you can really make a case for. And you can make a case for anybody. I always say this doing content and shows and people, you'll go around the industry. Everyone will have their reasons, but I could go poke holes in all the good reasons. Anyone they're poking holes in, I could give good reasons for too. You can go back and look it up and find stats or make cases for it. But realistically, what most people look at is recent form, course history, and then projections. And in this case, it's only projections guiding everything because outside of maybe Kevin Yu, who people could make a case for, Matty Schmid, at least these guys have shown some upside in some events, but now it's a signature event with a better field and all this other stuff. So if anybody's chalk down here, you could almost make the reason to move on to somebody else next to them because there's not that much of a difference between them in reality.
Well, yeah, and that's the main point. So you monitor ownership, make your, unless you love someone, we have already covered it. Unless you absolutely love the guy that's going to be, owned down here, yeah, stick with it. But if you don't absolutely love them, a lot of different ways to go. I mean, I've been pretty clear. I'm going to spread it out. I'll play a lot of these guys. I'm going to spread it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do as well. It's going to be more about roster construction than is the actual pick or the play down here. It's like, what do you need for your lineup? You can even apply that if you play single entry and you get your first 4 in that you love and you're comparing 2v2s. Well, if you've already got all guys that are heavily owned, you may want to look for some leverage options. Or if you're already in a zone that's pretty popular or a popular construction, you may have to move off that. If you can't move off Scotty and find a build that's different, maybe you could find a different way. But, this is a good one that comes up. Jason says, I usually have about 30 golfers. I don't know, Jason, how many lineups you play. Maybe you could throw that in there, but on a week-to-week basis, how do you guys construct winning lineups with 50-plus golfers? Golf is one of the sports where I'm more likely to leave the one-offs that it gives me. Meaning if it gives me like 4% of a guy or 5%, I used to change that, but I'm way more okay with it now because especially with Sabersim, again, to each their own, but we recommend Sabersim. When you're using SaberScore or Contest Sims or whatever it is you're using to build your lineups, it's usually putting that golfer in for a roster construction reason or for a leverage reason or for something else. So when you just change them all to your more popular golfer, just so you can say you had a smaller pool, that could be the difference maker in your lineup that ends up, from the top versus the bottom based on that one change that you made. So you got to start trusting it a little bit more, but leverage pieces are usually there.
Great response and exactly where I'm at. I mean, I used to try to narrow it down as much as possible in my player pool. And I've reversed course on that. I've had success recently just, again, trusting our partner, Sabersim. Yes, there's guys I like. I'm going to make sure I'm going to get those guys over guys I don't like that are cheap, but I'm not going to exclude guys that I don't necessarily love just for the sake of excluding them. There's a reason why they're probably showing up in those lineups in terms of, Saber score, contest sims, roster construction. There's a reason these guys are showing up, and I just kind of trust it a little bit. Yeah, and I'm going to include my takes for sure. Like if I really like, I'm going to pull up just 2 random names. If I really like Eric Cole, but I'm getting I'll use this. If I really like Gary Woodland and I'm getting a ton of Benny Ann, I'm going to switch that around and make sure I get more Woodland. I'm going to make sure I get more of the guy I trust. But I'm not going to just exclude someone and X them out just for the sake of narrowing down my player pool. I reverse course on that maybe like a year ago. And really it's probably lined up with the time that we it was maybe 6 months ago was when we switched over to Saber.
Yeah, Saber was definitely a more of an eye-opener for it, for sure, and I think that's a key component that not many people realize. That they literally are a bit like Saber Score, Contest Sims. Even if you only have the core package, you can still get Saber Score with us and try it out for $24. But that's the example where Saber Score will literally build the version of what you want in your head once you get your pool set up of it's not who you play, it's how you play them. It takes that thinking out of it and gets that in there for you so that you can kind of have those builds where you're like, I wasn't even thinking about that guy, but they thought about that guy. And again, because 90% of the DFS world is so focused on like good play, bad play, when they dial in and focus on DFS, which is what we talk about on this show, and actually winning a tournament, the plays are the end result, but it's the process going in. And that's how you built the lineup. That's what we're talking about with this. It's letting golfers slide in that you may not have picked, but it's using them because they're doing something for your lineup that's putting you in a position to be better going in and hopefully better coming out long-term. You got to let it play out, but that's the focus. And that's what the idea is there. So.
Yeah, and I do think you can extend your player pool more so in these no-cut events. I see it all the time. I mean, you've played these for years. I've played them for years. You see a guy that's pretty dead for round 1 and 2 and then finds a little bit of something round 3 and then just goes off round 4 and you need him to win the event. And you can't predict that stuff. I mean, you can't predict it. These are high variance situations. I mean, PGA DFS is high variance. I can't predict if a guy's going to suck for 2 rounds, then find something round 3, then just go off round 4, and then you need him in a GPP. So yeah, I'm willing to extend it a little bit in these no cuts.
Yeah, for sure. And don't count any of your money the day of. Like, round 1's over and you're winning money. That could all be far left by the time we hit Sunday, and then you could be far left on Friday when the round starts off for round 2, and then by Sunday you could be crushing it again. So. And music, who mentioned earlier that you just click whoever and then peace, you're good. I don't think that's the case. I mean, it feels like it because that's a lot of people are focused on who they pick and who they click, if you will. But it's exactly what we're talking about when you're building lineups to put yourself in the position to give yourself opportunity to go in strong, especially when you can actually maneuver it against the field you're playing against in a sport like PGA, where we have good ownership and solid feel for what the field is doing. There's a lot that you can do. And we just talked about this. If you're throwing away a bunch more darts just to have your certain pool, just know what that means. Obviously, you're taking a higher risk versus reward. When your pool does well and you've got 15 of those 20 golfers that crush it, you probably do have some sort of combination that's really solid and putting you in a lot of different positions up top. But what we're saying, especially in the lotteries and these high dollar, these top heavy tournaments, like, I was sweating last week in the $5, it's like Victor Perez at some small percentage and like those guys. I wasn't talking about them all week. I know who Victor Perez is. I followed him for years on the Euro Tour, all these different factors and DP World Tour, et cetera, whatever you're going to call the real name of it. But I'm saying, like, you follow these golfers and you know who they are, but Sabersim is putting them into your lineup as it's a means to an end. It's to give you what you're kind of looking to play against. And I'm playing against a very large field of entries with a super top heavy prize pool. Put me in the best position possible to take this down. And that's where it's putting you. It's not a click of a button like everybody thinks. So don't just go sign up and click it. But that's why we have PGA 75. That's why you can go try out Saber Score for $24 for a whole month. You'll get 4 events that you'll get to try out, 4 or 5 events, depending on how you shake it out for golf. You'll have the Travelers, the Rocket Classic, the John Deere, the Genesis, and you might get the Open right now. Am I right? 7-14. Yeah, you'll get the Open right now. If you sign up for a month for $24, it'll even include the Open, which is another major. But that's just for golf. This is all access. But I'm saying when you see what Sabersim does and SaberScore does for your lineups, that's where you can get a better feel. And we have the ability to upgrade and prorate at any time. You can change your plan, but our focus is always the most affordable content at the most valuable price. That will let you see it.
Can I throw out the first teaser?
What is it?
You might want to make sure you get in before NFL season starts.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a given, but that one will get hammered at the time. So definitely you can throw that out there. It's going to be a key to get in. I think now the thing is, I tell everybody, because we know that everybody talks about it. It's not everyone watching this is playing golf, so it's worth checking us out. But if you're good, you want to get acclimated, get involved in the community. The Discord is so you don't know how underrated that is. That's the place you want to be, is in the Discord, getting all the extra tidbits and people talking about getting better. It's access to everybody, not about getting access to us. It's about getting access to a community of like-minded individuals that are trying to get better at DFS and focus solely on winning tournaments, the process, and not just winning the lottery. It's winning different styles of tournaments. How do we win at Showdown? How do we win it? That's just golf. Now you take it across all sports. This is the time to get in, learn, acclimate, educate over the summer. And then you'll definitely want to get in before NFL, but you'll know where you want to be when NFL comes back out. Take all the courses leading up. We're going to have some more bonuses along the way, but yeah, get it in, check it out. It's $24. No one's selling you. It's $24. Like, it's literally nothing to try it out. But that's the whole point, to see what we're executing on when we do these videos. It's so much better when you can do it yourself and start playing around with it, and then have a community that you can go to and say, hey guys, I got caught up with this. I landed here. What do you suggest? Boom, you go right back to it. You're going to learn so much faster when you do that and get better. That takes off tons of time of your actual learning process, which in DFS, because it involves putting up your real hard-earned money, that saves you money. Time is money. We always talk about it. Less is more. That's an example where you can actually save time and money, because you'll get better faster, and nobody can guarantee you winners. We pick winners. Good for you. We would all love to pick winners, and we'd all win every week. We put you in the best position possible to be able to win consistently and have an actual process that can put you in the position to win, because nobody can guarantee you that you're going to win. Hoop, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
You nailed it. I don't even want to go on top of what you just said, because that was the perfect outro.
All right, guys, good luck this week. I think it's going to be a great event. It's a signature event, great field, no cut, ton of strategy, ton of fun. We'll have all our content up over at the site. We got a lot more coming along the way. If you want to get in, check it out now. That's going to do it for this one, guys. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo, let's ship it.